Hi, and welcome back to the channel. For those of you who are new, thanks for joining me. My name is Peter Lamont. I'm an attorney, and I make videos like this to help demystify, if you will, the legal field and answer commonly asked legal questions so that you have a better understanding of your rights and the law. Now, in today's video, I'm going to be answering a commonly asked question about real estate, and that question is, do I always need a real estate attorney when I'm buying or selling property? Now, you would think it is a simple answer, but it's not. And just like so many things in the legal field, there is not always a black or white answer to things. But let's start off by saying that it really depends on what state you are buying or selling that real estate in. Why does it depend? Well, in states like Florida, for example, it is very common for people to use real estate agents and title companies to handle the entire transaction, both purchase or sale. And when you compare that to states like northern New Jersey, now why do I say northern New Jersey? I'll explain in a minute, but in northern New Jersey, it is uncommon for anybody buying or selling real estate to not have an attorney. It's almost 99.9% of the time that buyers and sellers in North Jersey use a real estate attorney to help facilitate the closing. Now, I said I was going to explain why I said northern New Jersey. That's because New Jersey is a very strange state. Now, you might think that already, but for another reason. Northern New Jersey, 99.9% of the time, uses attorneys to facilitate real estate closings, while southern New Jersey oftentimes does not. They, like Florida, rely on real estate agents and title companies to assist with the closing. Why is it like that? I have no idea. Very, very strange thing, but it's New Jersey, and I live there, so I can say that. Now, if you live in states where you don't necessarily see people using an attorney like Florida, does that mean that the answer to the question is that you don't always need an attorney when buying or selling real estate? Here's the complex part of that question. Technically, if everybody in your state relies on brokers and title companies, would you need an attorney? Maybe not. Should you use an attorney is a better question, and the answer to that is almost always. So, for clarity, in states like New Jersey, the northern parts, where you almost always see an attorney working on a closing, if you live in Florida, even though the vast majority of people aren't, you still should have an attorney. I'm going to explain why in a second. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, this guy is an attorney, so of course he's going to tell us to have an attorney because attorneys want to get paid. Well, that's not what my channel is about. And for those of you who have subscribed to the channel and been with me for a while, you know that this isn't a promotion type channel to champion lawyers. As a matter of fact, I'm quite critical and honest when it comes to the legal profession. So why am I telling you then that it's in your best interest to have a lawyer regardless of what the rest of your state does? All right, well, let's look at the buyer's side for a moment. If you are buying real estate, arguably it is the largest purchase that you're going to make in your entire life. Often people spend years saving enough money to have a down payment for a house, and they just don't have the resources to risk things going wrong once they move into the house. You don't want to save for 5 years to have enough to buy a house, and you get in the house and you realize that it needs $50,000 worth of work that you didn't identify. So again, it's arguably the most expensive thing that you're going to buy. It's real estate, it's your house. Now, with that type of risk on the line, that type of investment that you're making, it would be in your best interest to always have an attorney to assist you with that purchase. Now, what does an attorney do that a title company or a real estate agent doesn't do? Well, number one, an attorney knows the law. They can look at a contract differently than a real estate agent or a title company can, and they can look at it objectively but also applying what it does to you to their objective review. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, they look to see how favorable the contract is to you. Is it more mutual? Is it lopsided? Do the terms of the contract favor the seller? You want to make sure that you're on equal playing ground, right? Equal footing. You want to make sure that you're protected as well as the seller, of course. You're not looking to have a contract where you've got all of the benefits and the seller has none, and you don't want the opposite of that. You need a balanced and fair contract. And an attorney can look at this contract and then determine whether or not it protects you. Does it protect you with home inspections? Does it protect you in the event that you can't get a mortgage, even though you might have a mortgage commitment at the time you sign the contract? Are there provisions built in to allow you to back out of the contract if things aren't the way that they were described by the seller? Like a whole host of things that an attorney can look at and applying their knowledge of the law, look at it from a third-party objective standpoint, right? I mean, you're all wrapped up in the emotions of buying a house, and so many times, a real estate agent might put a contract in front of you and say it's a good deal. And if you don't sign it, there's other offers on the table. So what do? You sign it. That's not to say that they're not trying to steer you in the right direction, but oftentimes, it's skewed simply because real estate agents are entitled to a pretty large commission on transactions. An attorney makes nowhere near what a real estate agent will make on a transaction. They don't work real estate transactions on that sort of percentage basis. 9 times out of 10, again, depending upon where you live, it's a flat fee. And fees for attorneys handling real estate transactions can range from hundreds of dollars to a couple thousands of dollars, depending upon the size of the transaction. But the value that you get as a buyer from having an attorney represent you and protect you, it is so outweighed, that benefit outweighs the cost that you have to spend on an attorney. Again, we're talking about somewhere between $500 and maybe $2,500. And if you're buying a property that's worth $300,000 and up, I mean, that's a small amount to make sure that you're getting a good deal and that you've got protections throughout the transaction. All right, also as a buyer, a real estate attorney can help negotiate credits. They can negotiate repairs. If something in the home inspection report comes back and is concerning, they can guide you. They can deal with issues that might arise from the seller, misrepresentations or things that are unclear in the seller's disclosures. They can help assist with escrow issues. And then they will go to the closing and sit there with you and make sure that you're signing the right documents, that nothing has changed, that the money that you talked about going to and from in the transaction is all accurate. They can work with the title company and make sure that the title company is doing the right thing and give you that peace of mind that you otherwise don't have if you don't use an attorney. Now, on the seller's side of this, why would you need an attorney? Well, a seller's attorney can prepare all of the necessary documents that you might need, or will need, I should say, to sell the property. And they can also protect your interests as the seller so that the buyer doesn't have all of the power in the transaction. You want to make sure that you're not just allowing the buyer to extend deadlines, extend times. You want to make sure that if they tell you you're going to have a mortgage by X date and the transaction's going to happen on Y date, that it's close to those dates. You don't want to be stuck in a contract where you can't sell the property to somebody else and the buyer might be just dragging their feet for whatever reason, and now you're tied up for months unable to offload the property. So an attorney can help there. And like on the buyer's end, they will make sure that all of the documents are prepared, that they're fair, that they are representative of what the transaction means for you, and then they'll be there at the closing. And I think it's really important to understand that, again, when you're making these large transactions, these large real estate purchases and sales, why would you not want to have that added protection of knowing that what you're doing is right? Now, I'm not knocking real estate agents. I'm not knocking title companies. Oftentimes, owners of title companies might be attorneys. But I think there's a big difference between real estate agents who are getting a commission on the property, whether it's buyer or seller, and title companies who are getting paid really to run title checks and to provide title insurance, and who might not necessarily be, quote unquote, in the trenches, right? They're dealing with a different issue. They're dealing with title. A real estate attorney is deep in it. They see transactions that are good, that are bad. They've, in some cases, litigated cases, real estate issues. Now, not every real estate attorney handles litigation. I happen to do real estate work, but I'm also a litigator. And so it gives me that added benefit of being able to have that litigation knowledge and be able to apply it to my real estate closings so that I can better guide my clients, because I have an eye out for what could happen if things go south, right? But even if you have a real estate attorney that's not a litigator, that attorney is more qualified, in my opinion, than a real estate agent or a title company professional. They are there to protect you. You pay them, and their job is you. They're not getting a commission. They're not having you buy insurance from them. They're not doing anything other than protecting you. They are there for you. And that's really important, to have somebody in your corner, because they get nothing, an attorney gets nothing other than what you pay them. If it's a flat fee, and let's say it's $1,500 for a closing or $2,000, that's all that the attorney gets. There's nothing else for them to do to sort of pump up the cost. That's what they agreed to. That's what they get paid. They are solely looking out for your benefit. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm going to make a huge purchase or sale, but if I'm going to make a huge purchase, I want to make sure I know what I'm buying. I want to make sure that I know what I'm doing. And while the internet and AI, it's great, it doesn't take the place of having a lawyer who knows how to handle these transactions involved on your behalf. It just doesn't. You might be able to get generic answers. You might be able to get good answers. I mean, some of these AI programs are quite amazing. But you need somebody that's got the experience, that can deal with the other side, whether it's with the other side's attorney, or if it's a state where you really don't use attorneys often, with the title company. So to me, it doesn't make sense not to hire an attorney to help you. I understand that, like, not picking on Florida. I love Florida, but you ask almost anybody in Florida and they'll say, oh no, we don't use real estate attorneys. We use title companies. And, maybe a lot of the transactions go smoothly, but there are a lot that don't. And I don't want to see you be on the losing end of a transaction, be involved in one of those transactions that you're told it's going to go smoothly, but it doesn't. So even if you're in a state where lawyers are not commonly used for real estate transactions, it's in your best interest to hire one, to have them assist you with the closing. Even if you want the title company to do all of the legwork, it still makes sense to have the attorney review the documents. Again, New Jersey, North Jersey, we are involved from contract to closing. We talk with the clients, we deal with the other side's attorneys, we deal with the title company, we oftentimes deal with the bank. We get everything coordinated and make sure that it's right for the buyer. And likewise, for the seller, we make sure that everything is in order for them, and we correspond with all those same parties during that transaction. So that's, massive involvement from attorneys in New Jersey. You might not need that in Florida, but you still would benefit from having an attorney at least do the bare minimum. Now, arguably, I would say you want an attorney to help guide you through the transaction the same way that, you do in New Jersey. But again, it's up to you, up to what you want to use the attorney for. It depends on what they're charging and what you can afford. I get all that. But if you're going to purchase a house, 99% of the people that are purchasing a house will want a home inspector. Why? Because they want to make sure that what they're buying is worth it. Why would you not have an attorney who can make sure that your transaction is worth it and goes smoothly and can help you get out of a bad transaction if things start to go south? It makes no sense. So, long-winded story short, while there are a lot of states where it's not common to have an attorney assist you with a real estate closing, my advice to you is that it's always in your best interest to have an attorney on your side when you're buying or selling real estate. All right, I hope that helps. I hope that it makes sense and that you understand why I would recommend to you that you have an attorney assist you with a transaction, even if your state typically doesn't require one or use one. It's in your best interest, and I hope that that makes sense. I want to thank you for watching this video. Please make sure, if you haven't done so already, to like and subscribe to the video. Give it a thumbs up if you thought it was helpful. It helps the channel. It helps other people see what we're doing here and can spread some of this information to others. So I appreciate the fact that you would take the second or two to do that. And I appreciate you joining me today. Make sure you watch the other videos on the channel. We have a lot of videos with some very good information and very good advice. And I will see you in the next video.
I've been trying to find my way. Take me by the hand and let's go find our own